The one, the patent's going to be expiring soon. The other, it won't. But you have to know what you bought in order to make sure that when the patent runs out, that you're propagating off of that. Now this here is done in a Apopka, so they're not going to throw this plant away and start a new one. They probably ain't even chasing people on this plant. Who knows? But the only one way to find out. Propagate it and see if they come and bring you to
jail.
Place down and throw you in jail, because it'll cost you a lot, basically. So
not worth testing it.
I won't do it, but I'm just saying the Facebook resellers are the ones that are going to have the problems with this, because there's so many of them popping up that are taking cuttings off of patented stuff, and again they get offended and insulted, and if I say something then you get blacklisted for bringing that up. But you have to follow the rules on this stuff if you're going to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it legal.
Right, so. They're blooming, which is really cool. This is a Nanook Tradescantia, or a wandering Jew. There's some blooms coming on here. This is a patented plant, so we can't propagate this one, unfortunately. This is a really cool plant. We're just doing a bunch
So
of
this is like copywritten.
Yeah, somebody has a patent on it, and the patent's good for 20 years from when they establish the patent.
So like, how do you do, like, how the heck do you patent a plant to be like, only I can grow this, or?
Basically what happens is, right now I have, for instance, Mojito Colocasia. You can probably zoom in on that one over there.
This
big pot
this
with all
big
the
one?
polka dots all over
Oh,
it.
okay.
I got permission from the owner of that plant to pay them for every cutting I take, whether the cutting survives or not. Most of the companies will charge that's called a royalty fee when I pay them for each plant that I take a cutting of. Some of the companies will charge also a contract fee, maybe $10,000 for, let's say, Enjoy or Pearls and Jade pothos. The company that owns that might, if you owned a greenhouse and you said, hey, I'd like to propagate that, if they're willing to give up the contract to you, you might pay $10,000 for that contract, and then 6 cents per cutting or 3 cents per cutting, whatever the agreed upon amount is, for every cutting you take. If they die, if you have crop failure, they don't care. You still have to pay per cutting, not per rooted plant.
Wow.
So
and they're just relying on you to be honest about how many cuts.
They'll come in and they'll check your records. They have, when you do that, there's a record thing, and there's actually the patent police that come around to do that kind of thing. So you have to be careful on if you have a plant that's patented, if you're propagating. If you're doing it in your backyard and you're just doing it for yourself, they're not going to bother you. But if you're doing that and you're selling on Facebook or you're selling cuttings and stuff, they're watching people for that. And this being in Florida, there's a lot of patent holders here in Florida with all these houseplant companies. So they're watching the Facebook pages, and they can come in if they saw I was propagating something that was patented without a license, with their permission, they could come in here and close me down 100%.
Oh wow.
They did that to one of the suppliers that we do buy from, and they came in and burnt her whole place. Not the buildings. They pulled all the stock out, even the stuff that wasn't theirs, they burnt everything.
Oh wow.
She's an older lady, so she ended up she went bankrupt and she had to start all over again.
So they don't play with that.
No,
They're very
as bad
serious.
as dealing with the IRS or something. So you don't play with patent things.
Okay.
The reason that there is a patent on this stuff, let's say, for instance, this plant here, the Tradescantia, or the Pothos Enjoy was really one that's going to be used a lot for that issue, is the grower had to grow that thing for 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever the amount of time, to make sure it held its integrity of what they're selling. So for instance, the Pearls and Jade, which we'll see when we get down the other end, and the Pothos, the Pearls and Jade or Enjoy, they're pretty much the same plant. That one there could revert back to green. So when they developed that plant, it came out by mistake. They radiated a Marble Queen Pothos, and it came out with a different color. Now they had to grow that plant for several years, or 3 or 4 years, whatever they did. I don't remember, I did read on that. And they have to make sure that it sustains its color patterns and everything that it's supposed to do, its growth patterns, its size, and everything, before they open it up to the public.
They want to make sure they can duplicate it again and again.
So there's a lot of money that goes into that plant while they're doing it in order to make that plant and make sure that it's right for the public.
Okay.
So it's not just, oh, I found this plant and I'm going to patent it. Yes, that could happen sometimes. But there's a lot of work going involved in that. That's why they get the rights to do that, and they have a 20-year right from when they apply for their patent. It's really easy to find a plant's patent. All you have to do is go to Google, and let's say this is the Nanook Tradescantia. So I can type in Nanook Tradescantia patent information. If it's patented, it'll probably come up in one of the top 3 or 4 searches, and it will give you the original date of when it started, so you'll be able to tell if the plant's going to be the patent's going to be expiring soon, if it's expired or if it's still in existence. And a lot of people don't like the idea of patents, don't think it's fair, but there's a lot of work that goes into it that people don't understand. It's not just, like I said, it's not just luck that somebody stumbled across something usually. So somehow, I don't know how they do it, they will make the plant sterile. I don't know how they do that. So then it won't produce a seed.
So you have to go to them.
So you have to go to them because there's no way to get it. Now, every now and then you may get lucky. I have a few plants that have produced seeds on some of the patented thing, and I can do that, but your seed's not going to come out true to type necessarily.
Okay.
So basically, you own the patent on yourself. That's you. Nobody can propagate you. But if you have a baby, that's a seed that comes from you. You no longer own the rights to that baby. I mean, you do in life, but only for a short time. The baby has its own rights.
Right. Okay.
Technically. So that baby would have the patent on itself if they decide to patent it, which in humans we would kind of use that kind of same thing. That's kind of the easiest way for me to describe it. So your seed that you would have, you no longer own the rights to. So if I get seeds off of a patented plant, the company that owns that plant doesn't have rights to the seeds. If that makes sense.
So you can't duplicate this plant because there's a patent, but if you get a seed off of this plant, you can grow that seed without their permission?
Right, and if that seed looks exactly like it, then I can propagate from that one and go from there, but I can't call it what they're calling theirs. Okay. And there is DNA testing that is done, and this is, I call it the plant mafia because it's probably worth that type of value. There's billions and billions of dollars in that.
Oh, wow.
So if the seed comes out and I propagate that seed, and let's say they come in and they say, oh, you've got my plant. You don't have permission to propagate that. And I say, I started from a seed. Oh, they're going to take a piece of that plant and they're taking it back to the lab and they're going to DNA test it. The DNA should not come back exactly like that, just like your DNA of your child
won't be exact.
Won't be exact.
Oh, okay.
It'll show the parents coming from it, but it won't show exact.
Okay.
However, if I cloned you, your DNA would be exact, and then I did something illegal that way.
Okay.
So there's a ways, and people think, oh, they won't. Oh yeah, they'll go after you. It's a mafia type thing. Almost every single geranium you buy in the store, almost every single chrysanthemum, almost every single poinsettia, all of that is patented. And when the patents are running out, I told you can watch and wait for the patents to run out. When they're running out, 3 or 4 years before that, they will pull the plants from the market and they will destroy them and they will make a new one. So you might have a new improved red or something like that. They will usually not keep a plant that is in that type of thing out there in the market. There was years ago, I used to buy from a mum company up in Minnesota. When I lived up in New Hampshire, I had my nursery there. That company is gone, and now there's only like 2 or 3 mum companies out there. I think there's 3 now. But they go out and they'll buy up old nurseries that are propagating that kind of stuff to throw your stock away if it's out there on the market and you're selling, basically. And it's just like if you have a house and it's going to be down the middle of the highway, the government comes in and buys it up. I mean, you have to agree to sell it. Don't get me wrong. It's not as bad as the government coming and taking your house to put a road in, but it's still those big companies. They don't want you having that item. So if you're selling and taking away from their business, they'll come and buy that out. They'll offer you millions of dollars, whatever they want to give you. It's worth it to them because they have royalties. It's 6 cents a piece. And chrysanthemums, think of how many chrysanthemums are planted throughout the United States alone. Forget about any other parts of the world. We don't do a lot down here, but up north there's a lot of them planted every year. And somebody's getting 6 or 7 cents for every little cutting that is taken. That's billions of dollars a year just for one color sometimes of a plant. Yeah. So patents are just, people don't like it, but they're there for a reason. So let's go down and I'll show you the pearls and jades. So okay. It'll blend in with